Hi, Scott McKinnon here on Monstars MMA. In association with Fightbook MMA, we're going to go live with UK fighter Levi Steedman. Levi's decided to make the change and go pro, so we're going to see how things are going and see what's in our plans for a pro career. Also wait for Levi to come on. Go check out Fight Fuel, my sick new banner, and XS mouth guards. Go and check them out. Won't be disappointed. Let's see if Levi's coming on. Oh, go and check out Scruffy Logos too. I'll tag them in this as well so people can go and see them. Just adding Levi now. Hey, what's happening?
You alright?
Thanks for joining me.
No worries.
So how's things going?
Not too bad, yeah. Just cracking on as good as we all can, really. So yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, how have you been training and things like that during lockdown?
It's been alright. You know, doing bits and bats and doing pad work and things like that. Obviously the gyms wasn't open, but still staying like, you know, in good shape and everything. So it's good because it's not like I've put on, you know, tons of weight and not done any cardio or anything. So yeah, so it's not been too bad all in all. Can't say it's been absolutely horrendous anyway.
Yeah, I was speaking to Tim Wilder a little while ago, and he was saying that it's kind of a blessing in disguise that he's been able to go and do more cardio. Like he said, he hated running, and now he's been able to go into and do more running, more cycling and things. So a lot of fighters are going to be in the same position where they don't do as much cardio before, they're going to do the extra cardio.
Yeah, I mean that's it as well. Like obviously we bought an exercise bike. We've been on that. I do have a bike, but I just can't be bothered fixing the puncher on it. So we, you know, decided we've got an exercise bike instead, so we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, the thing is with me, like if I want to do something, so say obviously when lockdown first started and you could only really run or go on a bike or whatever. I just wanted to get everything. Like I always want to be set for whatever I'm doing. So I ended up buying like a proper running watch and all stuff like that. But I absolutely hate running, so that's why we ended up with a bike. And that is a blessing in disguise. Like the cardio and the difference that it makes. So yeah, like I say, it is pretty much a blessing in disguise. Like everyone should be fit. There's no reason, you know, any of the fighters should be unfit. So
how does that work for yours? Because pro fighters can go to the gym and things like that if that's how they make their living. Obviously, you're not at that stage where you're making your living from it just yet, where you're able to quit a job and stuff. So are you still able to go to the gym and do sparring and do rolling because obviously you have made the decision to turn pro?
I don't know what the actual situation is behind that, but obviously like me and my coach are going to sort something out because I've not got anything booked yet. You know, we're just kind of easing back into things and stuff, so it's like getting myself ready. Like he knows that I've not, you know, just sat on the couch the whole time. So you know, we don't need to do like a million pad rounds and stuff like that to get started. Like as soon as I get, you know, something booked, which I'm hoping not too soon, but obviously I can, you know, adapt to the 5-minute rounds and the elbows and knees to the head and stuff like that. That eventually, like we'll get something booked and then we'll go from there pretty much. But I'm not worried though. Like I say, I'm in good shape. I've still been getting training in, you know, here and there wherever we can. So I'm looking forward to it really.
Yeah, a lot of fighters, like yourself, you said, you stay ready. So when the call does come, you're in no rush. You want to take your time. And now, obviously, when we spoke before as well, it's saying that it's a learning experience as much as anything from the amateurs. So now it's going into pro. It's where realistically you take it a bit more serious because it is what you want to do. It's a career, and you have to get that win instead of the more of experience. You still wanted to win whilst you're an amateur, but it's set now in stone that when you turn pro, it's what people look at.
That's it. I think you've just got to get to a point, and I think everybody who does MMA must get to it because I have now. It's like you've done almost like the practice you know, you've got the understanding of the cage and how everything works, the walkout, the, you know, you put your grease on you know, you have this picture of what's actually going to happen, and now it's just on a bigger scale, and obviously it's your career now, and that's, I prefer it to be like that, because then I know that's what I'm putting all my energy into. Like, hopefully at some point I should be able to, once I get the sponsors going, sorry, and everything else sorted, that I can eventually come away from work and then, you know, do PTs and stuff like that, because that's what I want to do. And then, you know, I've never seen myself being in an office job for like the rest of my life. Like, the thought of that actually depresses me. Like, I think, you know, like, I've always wanted to do, you know, whatever it was I've growing up, like some form of sport. So it's quite surreal now, you know, I've got to take this seriously. I can't just, you know, wing it, like, just, you know, go in there. Like, I want to build up my fight IQ, everything, like, everything's got to be perfect. I know it's not going to be perfect on the debut, like, you know, you're just freshly, you know, coming into it, but I want to, you know, and I think I've shown that as well. Like, each fight has got progressively better, and that's exactly, you know, what I want to do going into pro as well. So it's quite exciting.
Saying about doing PTs and stuff and going, like, obviously venturing out from your job and things, do you think turning pro gives you that more of a wide variety of things that you can offer to people that, say, aren't fighters but they want to get fit, or they want to start learning MMA and things? They see it as, oh, you're a pro fighter, so you're a bit more experienced or advanced than say me at an amateur level.
I think so. Like, I think it's just it sounds better, doesn't it? Like, you know, if you're a coach, and there's really good coaches at my gym who are amateur fighters, and they well, probably turn pro now, but amateur at the time, and really good, you know, coaches. I mean, you're obviously going to be amateur until you turn pro, and people could just say they turn pro and they still fight amateur, if that makes sense. So I think it does sound better, like, you know, getting sponsors as well, and getting, you know, the PTs in when you say you're pro, but I don't think you're pro until you actually have the fight. You know, you actually do a fight under pro rules. So hopefully when I do that and I'm winning, you know, it brings in more, you know, I can promote myself a little bit more, and, you know, get the PTs in, or, you know, leave work and stuff like that. But I'm only working part-time at the moment anyway, so I can train in the mornings, and then I go to work, you know, for the rest of the evening. So it's not too bad at the moment, but I do want that freedom of, like my mum said the other day, she was like, when do you decide that, right, I'm just going to, you know, split from work and focus on this? But I also don't want to be one of those gym bums that, like, you know, don't have any money and doesn't have the freedom to go here, there and everywhere and buy what they want. You know, I still want to have money, but I also want to have the freedom of a, you know, professional athlete. But there's got to be a time, hasn't there, really?
Yeah.
So.
And with you saying that, I spoke to Sean Martin, obviously coach at Hammer Gym in Liverpool, and he was saying that in this day and age, professional athletes, especially fighters, most of the time aren't actually professional athletes compared to what they are in other sports. Whereas you've got a lot of fighters, even guys and girls that are fighting in the UFC and all these top promotions, that are still working 40-hour weeks. So for them to be a professional athlete means that you earn enough money not to be able to work or do stuff like PT. So you're actually in the gym. So being in the gym and teaching your trade is your job. And then obviously going and doing it. And essentially that's what everyone kind of wants to get to, really.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a pretty good position before, obviously, COVID decided to shut the world down. Like, I was coaching a good few classes a week. I was coaching a female class. You know, I was doing PTs and everything like that. And it seemed like I got to a point where I could have, you know, ventured off from there and focused on, because we knew we was going pro anyway. Like, I think after my last fight in February, me and my coach had a chat and was like, right, you know, we'll take the next step into going pro. And then literally the world, like, just shut down, didn't it? So there was no point of us actually, you know, getting it out there, because it would have been forgotten by now. So then when everything started to ease a little bit, you know, we got it out there. And but he's right what he's saying about professional athletes. It's tight, because fighters still have to work half the time. And, you know, I'm sure some UFC fighters actually have jobs, which I think is crazy considering the amount of money that the UFC earns.
Yeah, well, Dom Reyes actually owns a gym and still works there and still does PTs and things like that. And his last fight, he fought John Jones for the title. So
I don't think it's very fair, is it, the money in the UFC? Like, it maybe might be the same with other big promotions, but, you know, there's certain people who you think should be getting paid a lot are actually not, and the people who aren't, you know, you think wouldn't be getting paid a lot actually are. It's maybe they have the favourites or what, I don't know, but I don't think combat athletes get nowhere near enough as they should.
Yeah, on
considering
the
what.
subject of that, with like money, numbers, and stuff like that, do you think like with social media now, it's kind of beneficial for fighters to constantly post on it? I mean, Darren Till put out when he spoke to Ariel Helwani saying, "I don't like it when fighters post their dinners, they post their training and stuff like that because they're Instagram fighters."
He
But
does that.
yeah,
He does it
and he
too.
trolls people on Twitter. But in this day and age, fighters like obviously underpaid in the UFC and in most promotions, they kind of have to do that to get them extra sponsors, or
Yeah.
for their sponsors to say, "All right, we'll give you X amount if we get such amount of likes." And it's just they have to do it really. And you see a lot of people doing it to make that extra money because they're not making that money from fighting, not because of their ability or their record or anything like that. It's to make that the extra ends meet.
It's quite sad because obviously they have to do that, and I don't blame anyone who does that because, like, it's kind of like a byproduct of being an athlete as well, because people, you know, you have a lot of following and people kind of look up to you if you're a professional athlete. And it's quite sad because they don't see obviously the background of it. They just say, "Oh, look at this person. They just, you know, they're sponsored by such and such person or whatever," and they're like, "Yeah, they have to be because they don't have any money. That's why, you know, that's why they're posting that on there." But I don't. I think it's good, you know, like advertising through social media because that's what everyone's on now. Like nobody's looking in the Manchester Evening News and going, "Oh, look at that product." Like everyone's on social media now. I mean, I know it's a bit stupid that everyone is, but you know, that's a great way of promoting, and I think it's pretty good. But the fact that Darren said that people shouldn't be, you know, Instagram fighters, I don't like that term because there is people that do pretend they are fighters, and you know, if you met them in the street, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm an MMA fighter," when probably not. But I am fully like onto the fact that you do need to promote yourself. Like, if you didn't, so say for example, I just had like, you know, just my family on Instagram, and then said, "Oh, I'm going pro," and then no one would know about it because I've not, you know, built that social media platform up. I'm not saying I've got millions of followers. I haven't. I've got like 1,000 or something, but like, you know, hashtagging and stuff like that just gets you out there. And like when, you know, when Fight Island was on, or you know, Cage Warriors comes on, and then somebody drops out of the fight, they're not going for, not going to like phone up random gyms and ask for people. They're looking at the person who's screaming on social media like, "I'll leather that person," like hashtag this, that, and the other. So I went off on a tangent there, but you
Well,
get
it's
you
like
get the
you
idea.
said, like they're going to look at the next person. It's funny that Kevin Holland fought last night in the UFC,
Yeah,
and his fight
he
got
nearly killed
cancelled.
him, didn't
Yeah, his fight got cancelled last weekend because Trevin Giles collapsed on his way to the cage,
he? Yeah, he did.
and he
Yeah,
was meant to fight at 185, and Gerald Meerschaert had gone up to 205 to fight Ed Herman, but contracted coronavirus on the Friday, so his fight got cancelled. And as soon as Kevin Holland found out that Trevin Giles wasn't fighting, as he was walking out, he went straight onto Twitter and tagged Dana White in it and said, "I'll fight Ed Herman at 205."
yeah, and that's it. That's how easy it is. And the same thing that happened with you know, Mohamed Mokayev. You know, he had like 10 pullouts because obviously nobody wants to fight him. And then that Glenn, I can't remember his second name, from Ireland was hashtagging, you know, giving all the shit talk on there and got the fight. And it's like, that's what you have to do. It's sad, but you have to, that's what you have to do now. You have to be, you know, you have to provide entertainment. Like, I think people forget that.
Yeah, it's kind of like selling yourself, but it's the same as adverts on the TV and stuff.
Yeah.
Nike wouldn't make any sales if Michael Jordan wasn't on an advert, or Adidas wouldn't sell anything if Messi wasn't on an advert, or Ronaldo wasn't on an advert. And Nike wouldn't do much with the combat sports, with Reebok and stuff, if they weren't sponsors for the UFC, if they weren't on adverts and stuff. So it's just a way of fighters getting themselves out there. And in a way, it's sad that that people have to do it and fighters have to do it. But like you said, at the level of the UK MMA at the minute, people have to sell seats, have to sell tickets, and they make money off selling tickets. So, and people enjoy looking and seeing what people do on a day-to-day basis of their fighters, what they have for breakfast, like their daily routines. So fighters kind of have to do it to sell tickets. And people that never
that's what
really
the fans want to see
watch.
stuff like that, don't they? Like the fans want to, you know, they might go on, let's say Darren Till again, because we're talking about him. Like they might go on his page and want to know what he's up to because they're a fan of him. Like if you just went on his page and he doesn't post anything, like it's just boring, isn't it? Like people want to, especially like you see some UFC fighters as well. You know when they get tagged in like up next is such and such person, and you might click on them and they've got like a really boring Instagram page, and then it's just like people just probably click off and then, you know, go like Sugar Sean's great at it.
Yeah.
Because he's just being him. Like I like that. If you're just being yourself and, you know, putting your personality out there, I wouldn't want anyone to force like this false, you know, personality and then, you see them in person at like the, you know, the weigh-ins or whatever, and they're just not saying anything or not, you know, showing the personality out. But yeah, I'm all for that. I'm not up for like shit talk unless they do it to me. Like if they do it to me first, then that's great. But I would never engage in that because I think for one, my coach would probably slap me around the head for like acting like an idiot. But I would love that. No one's done that yet to me, which is quite funny.
Well,
like,
maybe now that you're turning pro, people are going to be like, do you know what? Fuck her. Like,
yeah, do you know what? I think that's dead funny. Like, I'm from Manchester, and we just absolutely love like taking the piss out of each other. So if somebody said whatever they wanted to say to me, like, and if it was actually a good and funny insult, I'd actually laugh at it and I'd go along with it. But nobody's tried to yet, which is a bit embarrassing. Like, bit disappointing, should I say, not embarrassing. I would that.
So you're not going to start just like flicking through your weight division and different promotions and just start calling someone out to get a fight?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I'm in a position to. You know, at the moment, it's like I've not even had a pro fight yet. I'm not going to go around and put in my bio professional MMA fighter or like start commenting on things and fucking, you know, message Valentina Shevchenko and say I'm going to meet you in 5 days. That bullshit that people do. Like, you know, I think there's a fine line between like being confident and like putting your personality out there and being funny and being entertaining and then knowing where you stand. Like I've had an interview before where they've asked me like, oh, where do you want to be? Is it UFC? And I think, calm down. Like that's, you know, I'm 23. I'm not, you know, 33. You know, looking for something to secure my life. Like I want to build up there. So I am for the shit talk. Like I think it's funny and I think it is quite entertaining. But I wouldn't be the one to fully engage that first, unless they really did piss me off. But I wouldn't like, you know, make it with a be all and end all. Like that's like my thing.
Yeah, so you might have more of an insight of it being a fighter. So when people do it, do you think with their mindset of like, oh, everyone, obviously every MMA fighter thinks that they're going to be the best in the world. Like no one's that honest to think, do you know what, I'm all right at this. Like I'm just gonna, I'm only average, but I'm gonna make it to the UFC. And how do you think people do it where they say like they start shit talking to people and then all of a sudden like they get the fight and then they just get smashed and they think, oh my god, this person's like so much better than me, like with the confidence to start the trash talking and then get there and be like, all right, I've just started trash talking with a person who's 10-0 and I'm only 1-0.
I honestly think unless you are fully aware and capable of beating that person, do not embarrass yourself. Like, just don't do it. I hate it. Like, you see it all the time, and they're like, oh, I'm going to smash this guy, and all this, that, and the other, and then, you know, next minute they put a picture on and they're all, like, cut up and say, you know, it wasn't my night, and you're like, you knew it wasn't going to be your night. But, you know, and like you say, people just say things to make things interesting. I would rather have an interesting fight and then probably talk some shit afterwards because I've backed it up than start going, I'm going to leather this girl, blah, blah, and then the next day be, like, all messed up and apologising to all my fake fans.
Yeah, let's go back to you mentioning Mo. Like he started, like I don't know who started between them two,
it was
with
hilarious,
shit talking
though.
and stuff. But they were back and forth on Twitter, but he's this kind of guy that could be like, I'm gonna smash this guy. Like he could talk as much shit as he wanted, unless he was gonna go against someone that was 5-0 and had fought top level guys. He could talk as much shit as he wanted because of obviously his amateur career that he had at 23-0 and the double IMAP. Whereas no one was going to say, all right, yeah, maybe, all right, no, he's not. I'm going to smash this guy. But that, I think it was named McVee, was it? And he
McVeigh.
He just sort of thought, I'm going to take it anyway. And he just jumped on it and he just rode the wave with him. It's like they were both standing on the surfboard together.
Yeah, I thought it was great, you know, like, it's funny because I seen a comment and it was like, I want to see Conor and Khabib, and then someone commented saying, this is like Conor and Khabib at home. It just made me laugh, because like obviously the Irish and Dagestan, and I thought it was great, because obviously that's what you need. Like I was saying, going back to the social media, is like Glenn would have never have got that fight unless he piped up, and he did, and he put shit talk out there, and that's funny because I knew Mo would want that, because it's like a bit of back and forth, and you know, give him something to like fuel him to want to kick his ass pretty much, and that's what made it interesting, isn't it? If they just kind of like randomly, you know, phone someone, you know, in a gym in Sweden, say, because it was in Sweden, and was like, do you want to fight this guy? It wouldn't have been anywhere near as exciting. Like, I think loads of people joined that fight simply because of that little, you know, rivalry. So you've got to have it, I think.
Yeah, and instead of on the same subject but a different sort of way of it, Darren Till and Robert Whittaker sort of went a respectful way, and people just sort of were like, what's going on here? Like, are these two for real? Like, Darren, Robert Whittaker done an interview, and they were like, "Oh, so you're going to be friends afterwards?" And he was like, "I've never said that I was going to be friends with Darren too." He was like, "We're going to go in there and try and punch each other's face off." He says, "I respect him as a martial artist and as a person and what he's done and what he's doing for the sport." He said, "But we're never going to be friends." And then afterwards, we seen it, how much they were talking to each other, how nice they were to each other. But they were both being kind of respectful, and everyone, like, on social media that I
Sorry, I'm just putting my charger in. Oops, it's all right, 1 second. Yeah, my battery's on like 5%, so I just thought I'd plug it in. There you go. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and everyone on social media sort of went, "Oh, this is a bit different," and sort of paid more attention to it.
Yeah, like again, it's something different, isn't it? Like it's catching people's attention. You know, if I think it's good to have that bit of like back and forth between it, because you can kind of get in each other's heads, and then, well, try to get in each other's heads, should I say? And it just makes it interesting. Like you've got to, like, because there's so many fighters now, and there's so many different promotions, and you know, like Bellator's on a Friday, or it might be on the same day as UFC, and you've got to be that person that's made everyone want to watch that fight, pretty much, isn't it? And like you say, that's what. Although you might have a great performance, if you don't like Khamzat Chimaev, like how great is he now? Like, you know, he's done that mad record of 2 fights in like 14 days.
He went from 34,000 followers to 10 days later to having something like 340,000 in 10 days.
And that's it. So he obviously backed it up as well, because he won both fights, but now he's in, you know, contention to have top 15, because what he did after he beat those people was start tweeting, you know, Damian Maia, all the different people that were in that division, saying that he's going to lever him. And then you believe it, because you think, shit, this guy probably could. And then Dana's probably sat there rubbing his hands together thinking, you know, he's got another cash cow here. And the guy wants to
Especially knowing that Khabib's only going to have 2 more fights left as well.
Exactly.
And
so
someone that
he needs another guy.
Yeah. Especially someone that's going to be as dominant as him. I'm not saying he could be as dominant, but he could eventually. But up until we see him in the top 15, now I wouldn't say no to him about it.
He's just like
and especially with him,
isn't he?
And especially with being in 2 divisions as well. Like, he fought at 170, was it 185 and then 170? And yet we've seen people. So he made weight on 6 days' notice, and yet we've seen fighters like there was one last night that had a 12-week fight camp and he missed by 1.5 pounds. So you know, he's got
I hate that. I hate that, like, because that is part of the job as well. Like, I hate when people miss weight because you think you've known this whole time. Like, I understand people who take fights short notice, but also don't take the fight short notice if you know you can't make weight. Like, that is a massive part of it. And I understand when people say, you know, people have a lot of get a hard time when, say, for example, you accept this fight and then it comes to the day and they don't make weight, and then their coach goes, right, we're not fighting them. And they go, oh, you know, they're a pussy, they won't fight me. But no, because that was part of the contract. Like, it's part of the fight. You've got to do it. Nobody likes making weight. You know, I definitely don't like making weight. But it's just got to be done, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the things of being a professional. It's kind of a kick in the teeth to your opponent of whether and some fighters do it where they train and they try and cut the weight, and sometimes it just doesn't come out, and that's just what happens. But if it happens 1 or 2 times, that's when you know you have to make the decision whether you stay at that weight knowing that you can't cut it, or do you go up.
That's it. Yeah, and that's it. And I think people just try and get away with it as much as possible. And I think some people probably do it thinking it's going to get the edge on the other person because, you know, I'm going to come in a little bit heavier here. But I really liked what Dean Garnett done for Mo. Was like, I don't know if he was aware, but Glenn had to be a certain weight going back into the cage, and there was other little things on there, and I think that's absolutely fair. Like, some people would say it's terrible, but and I think that happened with Darren Till as well, didn't it?
Against Stephen Thompson last year in Liverpool. He missed weight by 4 pounds, I think it was, and Stephen Thompson said he couldn't be any heavier than a certain amount come fight night. Yeah,
and it's obviously going to take it out of him, but and again, at the same time, it's their own fault.
Yeah, it was like the guy last night that missed weight. He ended up winning by spinning elbow knockout.
Oh yeah, seen that. That was really good as well.
But in the interview, he said to Dana, because in the UFC, if they miss weight, they're eligible for the bonus, the performance bonuses or knockout bonus. So he said in his interview to Dana, if that was performance bonus worthy, then give it to his opponent, give him the 50k to his opponent as like a sign of respect for him missing weight. So it's better than nothing, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather not get knocked out, but
yeah, especially by spinning out.
It's a nice thing. Yeah. It's a nice, you know, gesture. Like, I like that because, you know, a lot of people take things really seriously. Like some fighters, you know, they have this mad rivalry and there's still like, I think, who was it that fought on Bellator, that idiot, I can't remember his name. He's come from a jiu-jitsu background, the Florida kid or something, I can't remember his fucking name. Yeah. Everyone hates him anyway. And then after the fight, like, he was still pushing and shoving, and I was thinking, you've just been beat up. Why are you starting a fight now? Like, after it's over. I think the ref brought them together and was like, shake hands. Like,
yeah.
You know,
oh, yeah, that was on Friday night. I've seen that.
Yeah, and it's like, that's just so stupid and how embarrassing. Like, you know, after the fight, it should be like, oh yeah, we had a fight, you won, I won, whatever, and that's the end of it. Not cry about it. It's a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, and again, that's the level of professionalism as well. Like, it's all good and beef and shit talking and stuff like that, but look at Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman. They were back and forth, and they really don't like each other. And even after that fight, they still like were standing talking to each other, shook hands and stuff. And then obviously Friday night, them two guys, the ref pulled them together and made them shake hands.
Yeah.
And then they didn't even shake hands. I think they didn't even touch gloves. And then the guy was still chatting shit to him. And I was like, what?
He's just got a really bad ego, I think, and you definitely can't have an ego in MMA because you just get humbled pretty quickly. Like he did, but I don't think there's any humble in that guy, to be honest. I think you'd have to kill him.
Yeah. So going back to your plans for this year, is there any sort of time frame of when you're gonna, well, knowing when they can have proper shows on? We know Cage Warriors is coming up when they've got 3 shows. And is it Problemum? I think I've said that right. They've got a show coming up.
Problemum.
Yeah, and a few through other promotions. I've got a few shows coming up this year as well. So is it this year you wanna?
Yeah, I definitely want to fight this year. I think December's probably a good shout. I think it's just, you know, enough time to get back in the gym, start training properly, and, you know, just getting not used to the 5-minute rounds or used to the elbows and stuff. Like, they've always been there, like at SBG where I train. Like, we're always aware of that. We train with elbows, and we, you know, like our coach, like if we're grappling, like MMA grappling, and, you know, someone goes to get, like, remember you can get kneed in the head from there, like all those type of things. So we're all aware of it, but it's just conditioning my body to, you know, to train and to adapt like that. So I'm hoping December. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure as well, December, Cage Warriors are coming back in December to Manchester. I'm pretty sure. I don't know whether that's absolute final, but I have heard that.
That's where the 3 events are happening as well.
Is that's September, isn't it? Is 3 events again in December?
Yeah, right, so they do. No, in September they're doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think it is.
Yeah,
but they're all in Manchester as well.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure. I don't know whether it's true, so don't quote me on it. But I'm pretty sure they're coming in December. But that'd be, you know, I don't know if my coach is going to get me on a smaller show, you know, or whatever. But like I've said in other interviews, that I do want to go down that Cage Warriors route. You know, I want to create like a division in there, because at the moment, you know, there's no actual female division. Obviously, once Molly, you know, won the belt and left to the UFC, like it's just been, you know, sat there doing nothing, because nobody's like exciting the division. I know there's been strawweight fights on, and, you know, Cora McKenna and Lanchana Green.
Yeah, but she's got a Contender Series fight on Tuesday, hasn't
she?
So
yeah.
And she struggled to get opponents too.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, I really want to see that fight as well with Corey and Lanch, because I think that would have been a really good fight. So obviously it's getting someone else for Lanch now, but you know, I do want to. I'm flyweight, so obviously that's a different division. But I do want to, you know, get some wins and start, you know, going through the Cage Warriors route, and then, you know, really promote myself to get, you know, like title shots, get someone in from Europe like they usually do, and, you know, go through that way and see where we end up from there. So that's, you know, the next couple of years, that's definitely what I want to do. So that's the route that I want to take. But like I say, in between, I probably, you know, have fight some smaller shows. I'm not saying I, you know, being a diva and say I want to be on the best show straight away. You know, I want to earn my shot on there. So yeah, I'm really excited for it, to be honest. Can't wait.
So speaking of wins, you finished your amateur career with 4 wins, a 4-win streak. Is that giving you more confidence going into that pro debut? Obviously, when you finally do get it, knowing that you finished on the win streak.
Yeah, like the funny thing is, everything started to come into, like, I've been realizing a lot more recently, and like my fight IQ is getting loads better. Like my fights, when you watch them, sometimes, you know, I don't show my full potential, but I think that was from a confidence point of view. So like I was thinking, I've got a lot of power in my hands, and so I know I can knock people out, but I've not been letting that happen, because I think it's a little bit of a mental thing. Like, you know, when you watch some female MMA fights, even UFC fights, you don't see that many knockouts. And I always think, oh, I'd probably have to take him down and grind out like a TKO or something. And then now like you're seeing more people actually getting actual knockouts, and I was thinking, I need to start letting my hands go. Like, you know, I need to get into this, and then I've been doing a lot more boxing work and working on my footwork and everything, and I feel like my next performance is just going to be very, very dominant. Like, I'm switching on more. I'm not thinking about like surviving as much. I'm more like attacking, because I think a lot of the time I've been a little bit wary and try to take my time, or rushing type of thing, you know, to get through. But now it's 5-minute rounds. That's perfect for me. Like, people get scared of the 5-minute rounds because you think, shit, I might gas by the end of it. I'm used to 3-minute rounds, but like, I properly get warmed up after like 3 minutes. Like, if you watch quite a few of my fights, I've been in the position at the end of the 3 minutes where I could have, you know, finished it, or could have got into a better position. It's like, shit, now it's round over and you've got to reset again. Whereas that's perfect for me because I like more time to work. So yeah, I think the next fight that I have is going to be a pretty dominant one, personally.
Yeah, with you saying like you want to improve your fight IQ and like your technique and letting your hands go and stuff, is lockdown giving you that opportunity? I know during your fight camps and things like that, coaches and everything will go back and watch tape and all that jazz. Is this giving you a chance now to go back and watch your own tape and think, oh, I could have done that better, knowing that you've got that time and you're thinking of it yourself instead of being told it, essentially?
Yeah, that's it. Like, I've been watching a few of my fights and watching fights from, I mean, I don't like watching, I've said this before, I don't like watching female MMA. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, I just don't know what it is. I don't really like it. So I have been doing that recently, and seeing how these, you know, flyweights move and what they tend to do. And I'm not really impressed by it all. Like, I just think that if I really knuckled down and really thought about things, instead of doing it just on autopilot, like, I'm going to jab, I'm going to do this, whatever, I'm going to try this takedown. And I'm working with, you know, obviously my coach, Matt Inman, but working with my other coach, Abdul Chowdhury, who's a really good boxing coach. And I've been putting a few videos on of like my footwork now, like everything. We're just thinking about things, and instead of me just throwing punches, it's like, well, if I throw this punch, how are they reacting? Or if I throw that thing, how are they reacting? And then what I'm going to do after that. So it's like predicting the future a little bit. But that's how I want to fight now. Is I'm not just throwing punches for the sake of it. I'm, you know, setting traps. I'm going to be taking them down here and, you know, moving them that side so I can kick here and whatever. So yeah. But it's not just my hands, like my kicks. Like, I'm 100%, I've said it loads, but I want a head kick knockout win. And I nearly got one. And like, I seen it, and there was another girl that got one recently, and I was like, oh, like, I still want that. It looks so good.
Oh, that was on Brave last weekend.
Yeah, it was on Brave. And I was like, that looks so good. So that's another one of my goals, you know, right on my whiteboard that I've got. So I want to get that. I nearly had one in, not my last fight, the fight before that. I got over a body kick instead, but I dropped her with a head kick, and then I was like, yes! And then she was like getting back up. I was like, fuck! So I had to go and carry on from there. But yeah, that's another one of my goals as well. Not got easy goals.
It sounds like you've got everything ready to go, and you're just waiting for everything to come back. So it's looking good for you to kind of have your pro debut this year. And I'm going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. It's been a pleasure talking to you as always. If you've got any shout outs or anything you want to give, then fire away.
Yeah, just to all my sponsors, really. XS Guard, obviously, from a Gold Shield. CH Productions.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention them. Chris will bust me for that.
You got to mention that. Also, you know, Hard Life Fightwear, CBD Life, you know, everybody that, you know, has helped me out along the way. So, yeah, give them a quick shout out. And obviously SBG. But, yeah, that's it, pretty much.
Good stuff. Again, thank you very much for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
No problem. Thank you. You too.
Cheers.
See ya.